Beauty and the Beast. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a young prince in a beautiful castle. Although he had everything his heart desired, the prince was spoiled and very selfish. One winter's night, an old beggar woman asked the prince for shelter from the bitter cold. In return, she offered him a rose. Repulsed by the old woman, the unkind prince turned her away. The woman warned him not to be deceived by appearances, since beauty is found within. But when the prince dismissed her again, the old woman's ugliness melted away to reveal a beautiful enchantress. The prince tried to apologize, but it was too late. The enchantress knew there was no love in his heart. As punishment, the enchantress transformed the prince into a hideous beast. Then she placed a powerful spell on the castle and all who lived there. The rose she had offered was an enchanted rose. It would bloom until the prince was 21 years old. If he could learn to love and be loved before the last red petal fell, then the spell would be broken. If not, he would remain a beast for all time. Ashamed of his monstrous form, the beast hid inside the castle. A magic mirror was his only window to the outside world. As the years passed, he fell into deep despair. He did not believe that anyone could love him. Slowly, the rose began to wither. In a nearby village, there lived a young girl named Belle. She was very beautiful, but Belle, unlike the other girls in the village, cared only for her books and always felt out of place. Her father, Maurice, was a reader of books too. But while Belle read about adventure and romance, her father studied technical books. Maurice was an inventor, a genius according to Belle, a crackpot according to the townfolk. Belle is even stranger than her father, the villagers whispered. Her nose is always in a book, and her head is always in the clouds. Gaston the hunter, who was the handsomest man in town, wanted to make Belle his wife. No matter how many times she turned him down, Gaston would not take no for an answer. He was determined to wed the lovely Belle, even though she thought he was a brainless brute. One cold day, Maurice hitched his horse Philip to a wagon and set off to show his latest invention to a faraway fair. With his mind on the fair, Maurice became lost in the dark, misty forest. As an icy wind whistled through the tall trees, he suddenly heard an even more disturbing sound, the chilling howls of a wolf pack. Philip bolted, and Maurice fell to the ground. To escape the wolves, the frightened man ran deeper and deeper into the woods. There's Maurice and Belle. He came to a castle that seemed deserted and stumbled inside. There, Maurice was greeted by Mrs. Potts the teapot, Cogsworth the mantel clock, and Lumiere the candelabra. But before he had time to marvel over these strange creatures, an even stranger one appeared, the beast. When Maurice stared at the beast in horror, the beast howled angry. Then he scooped Maurice up and carried him off to the dungeon. Meanwhile, Philip had made his way back home. Belle took one look at the riderless horse and knew that something had happened to her father. Philip, take me to him, she cried, leaping astride the exhausted horse. Without a pause, the animal thundered off towards the woods. When she reached the castle, Belle burst inside and searched frantically for her father. The enchanted objects led her to the tower, but just as she found Maurice, the beast appeared. Belle let out a terrified gasp at the hideous sight of the beast. When she realized that this was Maurice's captor, Belle begged the beast to free her father. When he refused, she bravely offered herself in Maurice's place. "No, Belle!" Maurice cried, even as the beast said, "Done." Before Belle could bid her dear father goodbye, the beast led her to her room. "The castle is now your home," he said, gruffly. Belle was free to go anywhere she liked, except the west wing. "You will join me for dinner," the beast ordered. "That's not a request." Still, Belle refused, and the beast stomped off in anger. That night, Belle slipped out of her room and found her way to the forbidden west wing. She discovered the beast's foul lair, but he was nowhere in sight. Belle was drawn to the enchanted rose she saw by the window. When she reached out to touch it, the beast suddenly appeared on the balcony outside the window. Belle screamed and fled the room. Her heart pounding, Belle ran out of the castle, found Philippe, and rode into the night. But a pack of wolves soon had the girl and her horse surrounded. Belle felt helpless and afraid. Suddenly the beast was there, throwing the wolves aside. A terrible snarling and howling sounded as the beast and the wolves battled furiously. At last the wolves ran off into the woods, but the beast lay in the snow, badly injured. Belle helped the beast to the castle and carefully bound his wounds. Gentle as she was, the beast roared in agony. "I barely touched you," said Belle. Then she saw a look of pain on his face. "I forgot to thank you for saving my life," she added softly. So, here's Maurice with the Mrs. Potts, Lumiere, and Coggleworth. Thanks. And then here's the beast defending Belle from the wolves. The beast only grunted in reply, but while Belle turned away, the hint of a smile could be seen on his face. In the days that followed, the beast tried to be a proper host. He showed Belle his library, where they read together, and she in return began to teach him how to act like a gentleman. Perhaps it isn't too late, Cogsworth whispered to Mrs. Potts and her son, Chip the teacup. If Belle could only love the beast, the spell might yet be broken. The winter passed pleasantly for Belle and the beast. Belle thought of the beast as her dearest friend. He thought of little but the beautiful Belle. One night, while Belle was teaching him to dance, the beast stammered, "Belle, are you happy here? With me?" "Yes," said Belle without hesitation, but the beast saw a trace of sadness in her eyes. Then Belle added, "If only I could see my father again, even for a minute." "You can," the beast said, handing her the magic mirror. Belle gazed into it with wonder, for there was Maurice, trudging around through the forest. But he looked frail and old. Even as she watched, her father collapsed into a heap. "I must go to him," Belle cried. "He might be dying." The beast heard her anguished plea. "I will release you," he said sadly, "but please take the mirror with you. Then you will always have a way to look back and remember him." With the magic mirror to guide her, Belle soon found her father. But their happy reunion was cut short with the pounding on their cottage door. "We come to take Maurice to the Maison de Lunes," announced Monsieur d'Arc, director of the village's insane asylum. "No," Belle cried. "My father isn't crazy." Gaston's friend LeFou stepped forward. "Maurice has been raving that you were imprisoned by a hideous beast," he said. "Only crazy man would tell such a tale." "But it's true," Belle protested. Her worried eyes searched the angry crowd and lit on Gaston. "Gaston!" she cried. "You know my father isn't crazy. Tell him." Gaston quickly drew Belle to one side, and he whispered that he might be able to calm the crowd if Belle would promise to marry him. "Never!" Belle exclaimed. "My father's not crazy. There really is a beast, and I can prove it." She turned to the crowd. "Look in this mirror and see." So, here's Belle and the beast dancing, and here's Gaston and Belle with the mirror. Can you see that? Yep, there we go. The townspeople looked at the beast's reflection and grew frightened. Gaston was furious. His plan would be ruined. "We must hunt down this savage animal," he cried, staring at the mob. "Who's with me?" "We are," the villagers answered. After locking Belle and her father in the cellar of the cottage, the villagers rode off to storm the Reese's castle. Luckily, Chip, Mrs. Potts' son, had stowed away in Belle's saddlebag. After the villagers were gone, he used Maurice's latest invention to release Belle and her father from the cellar. By the time Belle reached the castle, the townspeople had broken in. Gaston and the beast were struggling on the castle roof. The beast managed to knock Gaston's weapon from his hand. Then there was nothing to stop him from killing Gaston, nothing but the beast's own humanity. Gaston cried for mercy. The beast released him and turned away. Then Belle watched helplessly as the treacherous Gaston rose up and plunged a knife into the beast's back. The beast roared in pain, frightening Gaston. Backing away from the wounded beast, Gaston lost his footing and fell off the roof into the fog below. Broken-hearted, Belle flew to the beast's side to comfort him. "You came back," the beast said, weakly. "At least I can see you this one last time." "No, no," Belle said, sobbing as she kissed the beast's cheeks. "Please don't die. I love you." At that moment the spell was broken, and in one magical instant the beast turned back into his princely self. The enchanted servants returned to their human forms as well. The castle came alive with rejoicing. Mrs. Potts cried human tears of joy as the handsome young prince gathered the beautiful Belle into his arms. Mrs. Potts, Cogsworth, and Lumiere had not one doubt that the loving couple would live happily ever after. So, here's Belle and the Beast. Here's everyone. There's Belle and the Beast, or Belle and the Prince. There's Cogsworth, Lumiere, and this is Potts right there. It's kind of hard to see. The end. That was weird, so. But